So in this video, we're gonna take my bad humming and turn that into this really nasty bass. All right, so the first step is establishing your bass line, your melody. So to do this, I used a synth preset from Serum. I'm gonna pull that up so you can see and hear it. So here it is, just soloed. So this is a cool preset, and the bass line is in this MIDI region. I even have some pitch bends. The pitch bends will be passed through into the ultimate sound that comes out of the vocoder, so that's why they're there. They just make the bass line a little bit more interesting. You can see that I have some kind of stuttered notes, some pitch bends, and yeah, just makes it sound more unique, I guess. So the next step is going to be to hum in your bass line, and you guys heard a snippet of this at the beginning. It's gonna sound pretty rough. So here is just my horrible humming. It's so bad. First thing I'm actually gonna do that is just run it through some auto-tune. And just to make the vocoder's life a little bit easier, yeah. So you might be wondering, well, why am I even humming the bass line? Because you could just put an empty audio track here, throw on a vocoder, and have Serum or route Serum or whatever synth you're using into the vocoder. And you could do that, but I noticed when I was testing this out that the sound was more glitchy and jumpy when notes changed, so especially at faster tempos. So I thought, okay, what if I actually just hum the melody and give it the melody that I'm playing with the bass, and that makes it a lot cleaner. So that's why I'm doing that. All right, so this is just Ableton stock vocoder, and I'm gonna turn the settings basically to the default. So when you just load it up, it's basically gonna be like this. I might have changed some of the bands. So the depth is set to 100%, the formant is at 0, and the dry wet's at 100. And basically now we're going to hear the bass and the vocal, which could be a cool sound on its own, but we want to just hear the vocoder. So we're going to turn off the output for the Serum synth or the bass. And if you're in another DAW, this is going to be a little bit of a different process. Like in Logic, you're going to set no output in the bottom left-hand corner of the track. And every DAW has its own way of handling that, but we don't want any sound coming from that track. We want to just feed that into our vocoder. Now, the reason for that is in the vocoder in Ableton, you can see here I have carrier selected and external, and then I've selected my Serum track. Every vocoder is going to have a way to pass audio into it via a sidechain or something like this. So now what we're going to hear is we're going to hear the bass being passed into the vocoder on top of my awful humming. All right, so that's kind of cool, but if you mess around with the settings, you add a little bit of processing, it gets really cool. Check this out. So let's look at this depth control really quick. If we turn this down, we hear more of the bass coming through, and that's because that's our external carrier signal. And if it's kind of like a dry wet for our signal, our carrier signal, and then this is a dry wet. If we turn this all the way down to dry, we hear my awful humming again. So let's not do that ever again. Keep that up at 100. So let's turn the depth down to like 85, 90%. Let's let some of the bass come through. And then I ended up turning down the formant a little bit. All right, then I added a little bit of distortion, saturation, a little bit of limiting just to keep some of the quieter parts the same because my humming was not all even, and we get this. NOICE!